Hi and welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Today we're going to be looking at those gorgeous soft Brezels or pretzels, bread pretzels. I call them a Bretzel. This is what I'm talking about. They're absolutely delicious and not so difficult to make at home. A similar consistency to a bagel. And yeah, let's have some fun and make these today. Now I've added 450 grams of flour into a mixing bowl. I'm going to be doing this with a mixer. If you haven't got one and you want to do it by hand, check out my pizza dough recipe and use the same method, but adjust the amount slightly because we're not using an olive oil in this one. So there's 450 grams, about a pound of flour, and into this I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of active instant yeast. Now, if you're using non-instant yeast, then you'll have to activate it, and your packet will tell you how to do that. And at this point I'm going to put the dough hook onto the machine and just start to turn the yeast into the flour before I add the salt. Okay, now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt into the mix and continue just the mixer going very slowly. And whilst it's mixing, I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of very warm water. Not boiling, but extremely warm, so that it helps activate the yeast and make the dough rise. Now I'm going to let the mixer do the work for me now and leave this on for a good 10 minutes. I may need to adjust slightly the water levels because I want the dough to be slightly wet but handleable. So at about 3 minutes in, I'm just going to test the dough consistency, just have a feel. Now there's a lovely elastic feeling to that, but there's still grain in the texture of the dough as well. It's got a good bit of mixing to go yet. Now I'm going to add another little tablespoon just to make that a little stickier. You really don't want to add too much water in at a time. So make sure the water you add is warm. Now, because I added that little extra water, I've also had to add a couple of minutes on to the kneading process, because while the water reincorporates with the dough, you have to add that time on. So that's been going for 12 minutes now. Now that dough is perfect. That's a little bit sticky, but you can still handle it. So I'm going to put that aside now in a warm area and leave it for a couple of hours. I'll just leave it in this bowl, but I'll cover it with a damp cloth. And I'll leave it for about 2 hours or until it's doubled in size. Okay, so our dough has been about 2 hours it's taken for mine to rise, and you can see it's doubled in size. And I'm going to just knock that down a little bit. You'll see that the air starts to come out, but I don't want to over squash this dough down. Let's just get it out. You can see there that is handleable. It's still sticky, but we can handle it. So I divided my dough up into what turned out to be 12 pieces. So each of these dough balls I'm just rolling now under the flat of my hand and then releasing the pressure just to bring it up into a little ball like that, and we'll pop it onto a warm surface until I've done all of these. That's 12, and then I'm going to leave them just for about 15 minutes or so just to rise. So this is the last one. As I say, this is not a floured surface. You're just going to be doing this on a flat surface. Just bring it up to a little ball, pop it on the side there. Now we leave those just to let them settle, not very long. They're not going to double in size or anything. And then I'll show you the next stage. So you can see I've shaped the doughs into little round balls, and I put them onto a wooden surface just to stop them from getting too cold. This is a a very cold surface. I'm just going to pop them to one side and we're going to work on these one at a time. I've also got a little Teflon sheet here, or you can use any sort of baking sheet or non-stick baking paper. So we're going to take one of those balls of dough that have been settling there for about a minute or so, and we're just going to start to roll that out into a sausage shape. Then start using two hands, just draw the dough out gently from the center, and you'll find as it comes out to about 20 inches, 50 centimeters, the edges will start to get tapered and thin. See, they're tapering out, but the middle will stay a little plumper, and that's what you want to get the perfect Bretzel or pretzel. You'll see this sort of yo-yo effect in the middle as the bread starts to flop backwards and forwards. When you get it out to the desired length, just hold it stretched for about 10 seconds. Take both ends of the pretzel and spin it in the air so you get a double twist. Now, I've practiced this, I'm not that great, but you can see when you seal the dough against the center of the pretzel, you get that lovely shape, that real traditional pretzel. Another way is to roll the pretzel out in probably the simpler way, which most of you would use. Unless you're doing this all the time, spinning them is not easy. It looks pretty, but it isn't easy to do. Then you take your Brezzel and double twist it, okay, like that, and then turn the knot over and just pin the tails there and there, okay, and then you can just stretch it out a little bit to get the desired shape. I tend to pull them a little, elongate them, and then they're going to go on to the side there. They don't have to be too pretty. The more you do, the better you'll get. I have a pan here now that I've filled about an inch, 3 centimeters deep of water, and I'm just going to bring that up to the boil. And I have to add into this, the secret ingredient is to use 1/4 cup of baking soda, baking powder, whatever you call it where you are, and I'm also going to be adding about 2 tablespoons of sea salt into that, and that needs to dissolve into the water and get that up to a nice rolling boil. And then we're going to cool it down, not cool it down, we're going to turn the heat down, and we're just going to be cooking our bagels in here for no more than a minute. So this is what we're going to need for pre-cooking the Brezels. We've got the water now virtually up to boiling. The salt and the baking powder has dissolved into the water. Now I know often when they're making these in a professional setup, they actually use lye and caustic gloves. It's like a very strong chemical, and I'm not over keen on doing that, and I think you get exactly the same taste by using this. So yeah, if you see people doing it with goggles on and using acid-proof gloves, that's not the way I would do my Brezels. But so we've got the water now virtually up to a boil. I've got a timer here. They don't want to be in for any more than 1 minute. We don't want to completely cook them through. And I've got a damp cloth here. This is just damp. I'm going to take the Pretzels out and put them on to the cloth to let the excess water drain off. So we'll start the timer. And I can probably get, just a little bit sticky there, I can probably get 4 or 5 into the, maybe 4 into this water. So just drop them down in, and then we're going to leave them, that's 20-30 seconds now, I'm going to leave them until 1.5 minutes, so they've all been in for about 1 minute. Make sure the heat is still on, trying to bring the water back up to a boil, but if it gets too ferocious, just turn it down a little bit. So there you have it, that is the full minute. I'll just take them out and lay them down now on the damp cloth, and that's just briefly on the damp cloth. Don't leave them on for too long, it's just for the excess water to drain off. And then we'll take our next 4, and they can go straight in. Now I will apologise if I've called these bagels, because this is not dissimilar to the way that you make a bagel. It's a different solution, but I think I may have called them bagels 2 or 3 times. I apologise for that. Of course I mean Bretzels or Pretzels. Now that's the last of them coming out, and I would just add that you can keep this water, if you're frugal like I am, you can keep this water in a jar if you make these quite often and just reuse it. It'll last comfortably in the fridge. Now our Bretzels are on a baking tray. This is a non-stick baking tray, and I'm just going to take a little egg wash. This is just 1 egg yolk and about a tablespoon or so of water mixed together, and I'm just going to paint the wash over the pretzels. I keep wanting to say bagels. They are very similar to the way you make a bagel. And then with your egg wash on, some people would take these, they can dip them into sesame seeds or poppy seeds, but I'm just going to do the salt one. So I've got a nice coarse sea salt, and we just want to sprinkle that fairly liberally over each of the Bretzels. Now I actually see people scoring the surface of the Bretzels with a knife, but I really don't see any point in it because the Bretzels tend to split open nicely anyway. So that now is ready. We're going to pop that into an oven at 180 degrees Celsius, that's 350 degrees Fahrenheit. They'll probably take about 15-20 minutes, but you really just want to keep an eye on them until they go a lovely golden brown. And there you have them. They've been in for about 15 minutes, 18 minutes or so, and they're beautiful golden brown. They smell, they're really hot. They smell delicious, just like a Bretzel. If you know the smell of a Bretzel. I'm going to take these now and just leave them on a plate to cool down. Just pop them onto a plate and let them cool down for a little while, and try to resist the temptation of eating them all in one sitting. Now look at that. They are absolutely delicious. The smell, they're piping hot still. I absolutely can't wait. If you're looking at these now and you love Bretzels, you're going to have to rush out and get yourself a Bretzel hit from somewhere, or get and make your own, just like these. They taste wonderful. Smell those, they are delicious. Look, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and stay in touch. We've got some wonderful recipes. I've just done my 100th video, and I've just clocked over 200 subscribers, so I'm really pleased. And while these are really baking hot, I'm going to have to try one. See the way that tears? It's just... That's why I keep thinking of them as a bagel rather than a pretzel, because they're very similar to the bagels that I make. Here goes. Little bit of mustard, nice beer. These are wonderful. Try these, you have to. Anyway guys, stay in touch. I've got quite a few videos already on the go. I should be doing some more muffin in a mugs from the winners of the recipes from my previous video. We've been doing jelly deals. That's a great one for the Olympics. And there's loads more coming. Stay in touch. Comments down below. Subscribe. See you next time.